Hello guys, welcome back to the next tutorial. So already we have already learned a lot about functions, right? So just wanted to take a quick glance at some more built-in functions that's available in Python. So let's quickly bring up the PyCharm and let's take a look. So till now we've already learned about some built-in functions which we use with strings, lists, and all these as such as dot upper, dot lower, dot replace, dot count, dot not dot len but yeah len, which is to find the length. So basically we have learned a lot about the built-in functions which is available with all the tables, kind of strings, list, dictionaries, and tuples and all those things, right? But let's see, what about the numbers? Do we have some specific things? So I'm going to talk about three main ones for the numbers, and then type is kind of common for everything. So let's see what these are. So max is a function which takes kind of any number of arguments it can take. It's not limited, not just one, to any number of arguments, and then it returns the largest one out of the arguments. And largest can be different, right? If we use string, it can be length or something, so it's better to use these ones with the numbers. So max, min, abs, which is absolute, it's better to use these ones with the numbers and not any other objects like strings and lists and all those sort of things. So max is the one which is gonna give us the largest of them. So let's first take a look at the max. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna define a function again, so we can kind of wrap this up in our own function, and I'm gonna say largest. So let's assume that we want to create a function which accepts a group of arguments, kind of sequence of arguments, which is a lot, and then we returns what is the maximum number out of them, and the arguments are all going to be numbers, right? So I have an intent behind showing this. I can do it without method as well. So largest num, I can define a method, and I'm going to say star, and I can say args. So args is, it's just like an argument name. We usually give like that, right? You can give any name here, maybe a also. So the whole idea is star, and I'm giving args to make it easy to understand that there are multiple arguments, args. So what star means is it does not have a limit of one or two arguments. When there is star, it means that it can accept any number of arguments, and that's what we're gonna do. So where I'm gonna use these arguments, let's see. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna print right now. I'm not gonna do anything else, but I'm gonna use the max function inside it. So max, and as you see, it accepts args, multiple arguments, key and default. We can see all this in this quick pop-up. So inside this max, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this args that we have called here, and when we use it, we don't have to put this star actually. So we can just say args. Star is necessary here to tell Python that yeah, this method is capable of taking multiple arguments. So that's pretty much it I'm gonna do, and let's try and call this from outside. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna call this method largest num, and let's pass few integers, so -20, and all should be separated by comma, as we know. So -10, these are some negatives, and let's put a positive, not positive, a 0, and let's put a positive, any positive number, and let's see what the output is. So let me just try to run this code, and it says 10. So basically that's true because 10 is the largest number inside it. And let's pass 100 here, and let's try to see the answer this time, and this gives 100, right? So what it does is this max function is doing all the magic, which is accepting all these arguments, this is taking all these arguments and then giving us the maximum out of this, right? So this is the magic of max function. What else you can do? Basically you can actually return this as well, like whatever we have typed in here. You can just, instead of the print statement, you can just kind of return this value, right? So when you return this value, you can capture this in maybe a variable called x, right? And then you can use that value wherever you want to use. So this is also one more way to capture the stuff. So similar to this, let's actually go ahead and define the min one. So instead of largest, I'm just gonna replace it with maybe the smallest one, I can say, right? That's easy to say. So instead of largest, let's do smallest num, and the max one is gonna be replaced with the min. And I can just right now delete this return one. You guys can use it if you want, but just for demo purpose, we are good with the print statement, right? So let's call the, again, let's use the same kind of arguments, and instead of largest, we're gonna just say smallest num, and this is it, right? So first it's gonna let's just remove this as well. First it's gonna print the largest one out of this and then the smallest one. So right now both the print statements are gonna work, and let's see. So the largest one is obviously 100, and the smallest one, the second one, is -20, as we can see, right? So that's pretty cool, pretty awesome, right? It can take any number of arguments, you can modify it. That's pretty good. So now let's take a look at the third one, which is the ABS. So ABS function is kind of special. What it does is it returns the absolute value of the number, which is basically the distance of the number from 0. So for kind of an example, -10 and +10, they both have a distance from 0 of 10, right? So any negative value and positive value, they both have the same distance, and the answer that it returns, the result is always a positive value because it's just the distance. So there's no negative value concept from the absolute function, so it's only going to return the positive number, right? And it's not like the max and min, so it does not accept the multiple arguments. It's only going to take one single argument. So let's define one more function called, let's call it ABS function, and let's it's going to accept one argument, so just put that. And inside it, what I can do is just print and ABS, and it's gonna say A, right? So we're just printing it out. So now let's call this ABS function, and let's call it with -20 once, and then again let's call the ABS. Sorry, we can directly do this ABS, but I'm just creating a method so that you guys can just try it out, just to show you things. So ABS function, so right now it's gonna print 2, right? So first for the first call and then second for the second call. So when I'm gonna run this code, you guys can easily see the top one is the max, then min, then ABS. So both the ABS -20 and +20, the both show 20, because for both of them the distance from 0 is 20, and which is a positive value. It's gonna be always a positive value. So that's the ABS function. And now let's take a look at the type function, which is kind of, it just returns the type of data that we put into this function, right? So it is applicable for numbers, strings, list, for anything, so don't worry about it. So let's just say, so print, and inside it we're going to use type, and let's find out the type of maybe 99, and let's do all of them together. So find out the type of 99.9, and then let's say print, and let's find out the type of, let's put a string, and the string also I'm putting 99.9 because it's in the double quotes, it knows that it's a string. So let's do a print here so we can just see the difference when we print, right? So let's run the code, and the first one is int, it is 99. The second one is float, it is smart enough to identify, right? Python is smart, so with 99.9, when it sees the decimal thing, it identifies that it's a float. And the last one is inside the quotes, it identifies it's a list, right? So I can similarly define a list, and maybe I can say 1, 2, 3, and I can print the type of my list. And as soon as I do that, run the code, it's gonna say the type is list. Similarly, we can pretty much find the type of any data type. So that's pretty much it, guys. I think that's gonna be really helpful for you guys in a lot of ways when you program. So feel free to download the code, refer to it, and practice as always as much as you can. And let me know if you have any questions. So stay tuned for the next lectures, guys, and thanks for attending this one.